It's Paul Marsh, and I am delighted to say that I have been joined by gastronaut Stefan Gates. Steph, how are you?
I'm so good, so good. Yeah, just very excited. Just starting our tour.
Yeah, well, you're bringing Rude Science to Ferrum Live on Thursday, the 31st of July. You have to tell me what exactly is a gastronaut?
So a gastronaut is somebody who kind of uses food as their kind of tool for adventure, I guess. And so I've written lots of books about food and lots of TV series about food and things like that. But I like to take things a little bit further than just the basic, making how to cook a chicken. So there's lots of explosions, lots of revolting food, lots of adventures. Basically, I think that you're going to eat, a couple of tons of food in your lifetime. Why not make a chunk of that an adventure? Why don't have burger and chips every day? It's my version of climbing a mountain, really. So I've tried pretty much everything there is to try, just because you never know what you might find.
What can we expect from Rude Science? So I have two young kids myself. I've got a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. Teaching them things is hit and miss, let's just say. Sometimes you succeed and sometimes you don't. But the one thing that I do find is when I'm trying to teach them, it's the fun ways you can teach them, the things that make them laugh. That's the stuff that's going to stick.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what rude science is all about. So it's basically about taking, well, it's not just biology, but sort of physics, biology, chemistry, and kind of making it outrageous, very, very cheeky. So there's lots of screaming in in the show. There's lots of pee, lots of poo, a vast amount of farting. Absolutely vast amount of farting. And it's sort of so the idea is that it sort of sounds quite rude, but none of it is. It's just science about the body, and but it's the stuff that nobody ever talks about, really. So I wrote a book called Rude Science, and this is the stage show of the book, I suppose. And so it's lots of literally blood, sweat, and tears, like we fire smells at the audience and get them to guess what it is. We have vortex cannons. A huge amount of different whoopee cushions to play with, and yes, pretty much every bodily fluid that you can imagine, which is, I mean, it's it's cheeky, but it's not actually rude. So the overall point about the show is that there's actually no such thing as rude science. It's just science that you haven't learned yet, science that you haven't yet made friends with. And so the more that we learn about the science that nobody ever talks about, then the more comfortable you are as a human, and you realize how wonderful and amazing the human body is. So it's sort of rude, but it's not really. It's just about you and how you work. But yes, there's a lot of digging in belly buttons. I eat a lot of earwax. We make pee from scratch on stage, and then we use it to make gunpowder.
Oh, right, okay. I do wonder with a lot of these things. Obviously, we are very much a multicultural society now, and no doubt that you have spoken to people all over the world, and even from all over the world from inside this country. I do wonder, is it very much a British thing that, oh no, we don't talk about these things, and these are the things that happen, but we're not supposed to talk about them. Keep them over there in that box. Is it kind of like that sort of thing?
I think we have that perception that we're a little bit sort of uptight about things. I think the reality is most people are pretty much the same. There are lots of different cultures with different ways of looking at these things. But generally speaking, if you talk about pee and poo and farts, most people are quite embarrassed by it. I don't think the British are particularly different in that kind of sense.
Okay.
And certainly, I mean, we've done this, not this exact show, but a very naughty show in lots of places like Abu Dhabi and in Germany and yeah, all over the world, and people still laugh, and that's the most important bit. So it's not trying to disgust people, although there's a lot of disgusting things in it. It's not about revulsion. It's about looking at yourself and going, oh my gosh, it's this stuff that I never talk about, but we've all got these things. We all make the smells and noises, but why don't we talk about it? And I think it's pretty much the same around the whole world.
Obviously, you like you mentioned earlier, you wrote the book about this. You've done various different TV shows about this kind of thing as well. At what point did you decide to, well, I need to take this on the road? This is the something I want instant reaction. I want the laughter. I want the disgust. I want everything instantly.
Well, so about 15 years ago, I started doing shows at Cheltenham Science Festival, which were based on sort of the TV series I was doing. And you realize that when you're in person with people in the room, that's when these things really hit, where people laugh and people learn together. And it's that shared experience, you'll laugh more because there's other people around you. And also, I guess it's a little bit safer. There's this weird bloke on stage, shouting at you about farts. You think, oh my gosh! But when there's lots of you there and you've bought into it, then it's much more exciting. I mean, it's a type of public engagement. It's about teaching people science. It's also trying to teach that science can be fascinating. And some people are quite scared of science, but a lot of kids think that it's really difficult, and they think that it's not relevant to them, that it's theoretical. And of course, when you get into higher physics and things like that, yes, there is a lot of theory, but just to get people interested in it in the first place, you've got to make it fun, and I think you've got to make it funny. And I think that's the main thing. So you get all these people who really don't normally like science. They've come because they've seen this poster with this giant bum and a bloke who looks like he's doing something weird with a plunger, and so they've come along for the entertainment value. But the show is absolutely jam packed with information, and as long as you're kind of creating the world's loudest fart, you can get away with talking about really complex physics, for instance. So there's a lot of acoustics, which is the sound of our farts, which is really complex physics, and then there's fluid dynamics and lots of stuff that you would never normally be able to talk about to kids because they would go, "Oh, I'm so bored. It's not relevant to me." And this is the thing about food. So basically, if you unpick it, everything that we do in the show is essentially about food or about digestion, and digestion is basically what happens to food after you've eaten it as well. And once you make it about food and about the body, it's relevant. So it's science and kids can go, oh my God, so this is fluid dynamics, but I get it. I understand it because it's part of me. And this is how blood works, and this is how pee is made and what it's for, and it's actually what I do, and that's why pee smells in a certain way and looks, why it's yellow and all these different things. So yeah, it's that bit that makes it relevant that I think is really useful. Now, I mean, there is a lot of hypothetical and theoretical stuff in science, but to just start kids off thinking that science can be fun is, I think, invaluable.
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, as a parent of two children who sometimes struggle with bits and pieces like that, I completely agree. I think making these subjects fun and interesting is the way that you're going to get them involved. Now, I have to ask a question. You mentioned earlier, obviously, 15 years. I won't age you. I'm not that type of person. I don't want to do that. But you did mention 15 years. I would love to know, have you ever met anybody that was in the audience or read your book or watched your TV show, and at some point, maybe 10, 15 years later, you met them and they said, I became a teacher because of you, or I got into this profession because of you?
Yes, there's quite a lot of scientists, not necessarily about biology and things like that, but basically the people that come to the show now probably saw me on TV when they were probably about 12, 14. And now they've got their own kids and they're coming along to the show. And yes, quite a lot of them will come up and say, and it's not necessarily about biology, but they'll say, I started doing X. And it can often be things like maths as well. I started doing science, technology, engineering, maths, because I saw a thing. And often, to be honest, there were lots of things with my TV series. So I did five TV series for CBBC, and they were all about adventures in food, but they were all basically about science as well. So there's a huge amount of basically, if you want to get somebody fascinated, blow something up. But with food, it's really difficult. Blowing food up is really bad because you're wasting things. But the moment it's about science, then you've got a green card. It's all fine. You can do that again. So there was a huge amount of blowing things up because you're essentially looking at energy in food. And so a lot of people seem to be sparked by that. But also quite a few people got inspired to cook as well from doing the show.
Right.
a bit of science, fair amount of cooking, but also just about being a bit more adventurous with food. And parents would say, you know, kids wouldn't eat anything, and now, my gosh, they're eating avocado. It's amazing. So yes, I mean, not everybody. I'm not going to claim that you come to see my show and bang, that's it. And the rest of your life is panned out before you as a scientist.
Yeah,
But it's
no
about ignorance as
guarantees. Well,
well.
this is not a money back guarantee situation. If you come to watch the show in Fareham, it is not guaranteed to change your kid's life, but we hope it will.
We hope it will, exactly. And it's about, you know, it's about inspiration. It's about starting a spark. And it should also be said that, you know, it's quite difficult for teachers teaching in school because you can't make everything, and you certainly can't make on everything on the curriculum hilarious and exciting. You know, there's a lot of stuff which is quite tricky. And so, you know, the fact is, you know, you know, we do 2 hours on stage and everyone runs away, you know, having screamed their lungs out and having a great time. But teachers have to do this every single
Yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I take my hat off to them because you can do a practical every now and then. They're relatively tricky because if you have a tricky class that, you know, that don't behave in the right way, it can be really, really difficult to do it. So you know, you can't teach everyone using explosions every single day, but just for a couple of hours, come and have a blast.
Well, you're going to have myself and my two children there in Fareham on Thursday, 31st of July. So that is three people looking to be educated, entertained, and walking away with a newfound respect for food and bodily functions as well. Steph, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. For one last time, Rude Science is going to be at Fareham Live on Thursday, the 31st of July. I do believe there are not that many tickets left, so go and grab them now before it sells out. Steph, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Take care now.